Hello and welcome back to Planet Coaster. We are working on the Roman Plaza that we kind of laid out last episode, and we will be working on the top right corner here, trying to get a nice villa or set of small structures that's kind of compounded into multiple villas to frame the edge up here that will have a little bit of a drink stall and I think a food stall as well. So we're continuing on with the Roman Greek theme and trying to lay out the building to meet the curve of the sidewalk here, as I feel like that's going to be kind of an important thing to do to try and make the area look nice. It needs to be really flush to the road. It actually reminds me, these archways, a little bit of Venice, just how close, tight packed they are. Maybe even we could do a Venice kind of inspired section with maybe a little canal running through it. I think that would be pretty cool to see. And then I don't know if we could get the boats, but I mean, we can probably use the kind of small rowboats as the things you would see going up and down the canal. I don't know their name, which is probably important to know. But hey, whatever. Nice thing about this kind of set here is, one, it took a while to do, and it has plenty of detail for you guys to look at once it's all done. Gonna be throwing pillars up everywhere. I think pillars are probably one of my favorite things they added with the alpha update in terms of decoration pieces, because pillars you can do so much with. You can partially embed it into the wall, give the wall a texture. You can bump areas out. It's all about, in my opinion, creating levels of detail. And so as you go up and your eye travels up and through a structure, you have a lot of areas that your eyes can kind of touch on. And then that kind of creates an overall, feeling of steadiness, movement, depending on how you use it. We're going to be using the Corinthian pillars, though, here up on the front of this facade. And these are going to be facades. They're not going to be full buildings. They're going to have the fake front, and then the back side will be that white industrial modern that you would see in most real parks. I don't really want to take the time to do all the back details of every building, because I feel like, one, it's not needed. Your people are never going to go see it. You're building it for you at that point, which is great. Some people can, and I encourage you to play how you want. But for me, I'm building a theme park. I'm not building a town or a village or anything like that. I am truly trying to capture what a theme park would look like at this point. Though, forgive me, I haven't been to a theme park in years. I think, as I said, near the beginning of the last park that we did. And so my terminology is lacking. My knowledge of how things are usually done is generally lacking. And so if you're coming here to learn about theme parks, probably not the best place. I mean, I just build things and make them look cool, and hopefully it works. So that's my working process. But other people will probably do a little bit more research as to how things are actually put together. So problem with these Corinthian pillars is they weren't quite tall enough to reach the roof line, and so I had to use a square section on top to kind of line them up. Doesn't look too bad, though. I don't really like how the tops of the pillars are kind of sticking out because of the molding, but hey, you use what you got. Luckily, the backside here, I mean, you can see it's super messy just with how you had to do the copy and paste and rotation to get that smooth facade wrapping around the front here. And so each of those are separate buildings, making, if we were to do the backside, it would be such a pain. And so that's another reason we're skipping it, is that, trying to get this thing done quickly enough, even though this is probably a 6-hour build or so. I don't know if that's because I'm slow or because I'm so nitpicky that it slows me down more than it's worth. Who knows? But it took me quite a long while to throw this thing together. And especially because as I'm doing this, I'm kind of learning more about the theme over time to try and get some type of palette in my head that'll work, because you know, I'm not looking at really any imagery doing any of this. I think I looked up like a Roman villa a little bit just to see, hey, you know, what does the roof look like? You know, is it a high roof or a low roof? But other than that, you know, this is pretty much what I imagine it would look like, maybe at the height of their power. Very plaster walls, very white stone, kind of framing it. At the top here, it looks really cool, trying to flatten out the roof line to kind of seal it off. And so basically at that point, I don't have to do the backside of the roof line. All I have to do is throw that nice flat kind of low wall up there, and then from ground level, you know, that kind of provides our full look. And so that's a really nice way to kind of, I guess, seal the roof without too much effort. Using that large door on the front as well was really nice to try and get the front looking good. Now we're going to do a little bit of a skip here in a second, because I ended up losing a couple hours of footage because my recording software decided to error out and crash on me. And so that is a little bit of a problem when you're trying to make a video for YouTube, when, you know, you lose hours of footage. But, you know, you didn't miss much except for this whole front facade kind of getting shaped, and the roof line, which I really like how the Romans do their A-frame roof lines. They almost look like their temples, you know. They have this nice trim going around the whole triangle, and it really frames it really nice. And so that's what I do with this one and many others that you guys will see here a little bit later in the episode. And, you know, using a bunch of stone to try and frame it as nice as possible. Luckily also, the roof doesn't have to go too far. We can kind of cap it a little quickly here, because again, I'm keeping in mind with what I really have to get done for the people walking around on ground level. This new extension going here for the villa, what the fuck am I talking about? So you got the actual roof line. I hope you guys can see that up there on the last structure we were working on, which looks pretty cool. I used part of the small window to kind of create an interesting frame for the bottom. Also, adding a little bit more terrain to this hillside. We're going to put the temple up here. I think it's going to be Athena's temple, or maybe Zeus's temple. I'm not 100% sure quite yet. The only problem with the terrain tool is because it avoids the pathing, which is great, except for when you want the pathing to be just flat on the terrain. I kind of wish, if you're using the leveling tool, you go around the path and you have it just slightly below the path, it would actually kind of flatten the path onto it and make it kind of flat again. But now we have these divots, and I'm going to probably have to fill those in with rocks to try and at least get that to work, or maybe building parts. Something that I didn't really want to do, but it might have to be done anyways. Now, here, at this point in the build, a couple hours passed, and I actually got better using the new translate tool. And I started using it more and more because I realized that after you place an item, and while having that open, the next item you select stays exactly where that last item was placed, and then you can move it from there. And so for doing things like lining up railings, from doing tiles on roofing, you know, if you want to change the color of a roof to using a different kind of block, you know, you can do that. It actually makes it very easy to do so, and I really actually fell in love with how this was working. Even doing the roofline trim, you know, you can use that method and get it fairly consistent as you go up and down. It's much easier, in my opinion, than doing the shift and control function for that. I use probably shift and control now for quickly placing small things that really don't have to be lined up perfectly. But if you want that perfect alignment, definitely use the new translation tools. They're awesome, and you know, Frontier did a great job adding that in. I don't even think anyone asked for that, really. Everyone asked for like the full rotation function, but no one asked, I don't think, for the XYZ kind of translation. Here, I'm changing the roof color from the blue and I'm going to use the kind of light gray stone of one of the castle pieces to kind of make some tiles on here, and just break up the color a little bit, because they didn't have blue roof, so why would I use a blue roof on a Roman structure? Here, using the translate tool a whole bunch to just basically copy and paste this thing around everywhere, and it actually made this whole process very quick. If I was just using the normal way that I would, say, last park, this would have taken a really, really long time to move every piece, reorientate it every time I place it down, and then rinse repeat for every little section. So, well, I think I gave that new feature a little too much love in this video. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and finish up this plush shaped roof, and then I believe we'll go finish up the other end of the structure a little bit. If not, throw on some more roof trim on this thing here. And what I'm doing is actually throwing some molding up top along the roof line, just to make it pop from a distance a little bit more, kind of cap off that color break from the gray roof to the white areas as well. So that turned out fairly good. We're going to be using the thin molding, kind of the wall molding that they added, to also thicken up the actual roof line, and I think that looks pretty good. Of course, trying to also make sure none of those little blocks are showing through, but they do anyways. There's not much I can do about it except for to constantly mess with them, but I decided, hey, I don't want to fiddle with this too long, and so I am going to move on from that roof to something down here. I wanted some greenery in and around these pillars, and so I sunk one of the tall, narrow trees here into the ground, and I just lined every single column with them, just so we have a touch of green along the path. And then here, this is actually probably one of my favorite sections that I did. I don't know why. I think it's because it's more patterned than something I would normally do. And so if you just partially inset the railing, you get this nice dot pattern from the rails, and then also the center column pieces. And then I just framed the bottom of it with some molding that was sticking out in first, to kind of create a nice little, I guess, effect. I don't know really what to call that thing. I just kind of threw it in there, and they're almost like support beams from the structure itself that they just allowed to come through. I don't know if there's a technical term for that, but that's definitely what I did. Here you can see also, while that camera skip happened, we put in some of that back structure with the air conditioning units and stuff. Also, on this lower end of the kind of cap, I would say, the end piece of the vista, is that you can use the pirate kind of molding to, and then just turn it around to get a new color of plaster, which I think is pretty cool looking. Using the backside of items, I think, is going to be important for anyone who's trying to throw in as much detail as possible, trying to, I guess, push the limits of what you can do with every item. I'm not great at it, because I feel like maybe I don't quite have the vision for that. I saw Silver at, I think, using, if you guys haven't seen his new steampunk park that he's working on, he was using the molding pieces and then rotating them to make them gears. And so I think that just thinking that, how do I make a gear? Look at what you have, and then kind of rotate something in a gear-like pattern and see if it looks right. To me, I mean, he did it so like straightforward or naturally that it looked like that, oh yeah, this will make a gear, from the moment he tried it. So I don't know how he does that. I know he does like little test pieces for his parks a lot, and I don't really do that for mine, because I don't think I have the time to sit there and try a whole bunch of theme kind of elements if I want to try and make a video a day for you guys, and also work and do a whole bunch of other things. So the wall here ended up just making it flush to the last kind of villa area, and then we're gonna put molding along the top roof line there eventually to kind of seal it off, bulk it up a little bit just to make it look, I guess, as clean as possible. I didn't really want to do it like that because I think it's kind of weird to have a structure kind of just fade into another one. I mean, they do it every so often, and you know, you can see it done in places, but to me, I think it can look weird if you do it wrong. But hey, whatever. We have some new windows going in the bottom there, and that's just kind of capping that off. And then also, I would like to get some details at that bottom section where the two stores are as well, when we can. But until then, it's going to be these plastered walls, which are going to bug me a little bit. This roof line, I wanted to maybe do some arches, but because of the arches down below, they would be poking through. And so I had to settle with kind of just using the normal molding there to cap that off. This is going to be another kind of A-framed structure, which is great. And you can actually see how this is kind of put together like the last one. Now, that is actually, it's a longer roof, so I felt like I could actually put some more windowsill places on it than just having it this flat section. Now, this is cool with the translate tool is, I think, yeah, so when you place an item, it stays in the same orientation, even if you change what that item is. And so you can use that to create custom lengths of pillars, throw in pattern relatively quickly just by moving it, placing it, changing what it is, and then moving it sideways again because it's going to keep that orientation throughout. And so this, Planet Coaster, I think, is the amount of potential this game has, even with Alpha 2. It's just crazy. I just hope they get the management right, you know. So once, I mean, it's one thing to build a park that looks really nice, but if you can't manage it and like set prices for things and ticket prices and watch your park grow like that, you know, I think that part is still a very important section for any theme park tycoon kind of game. And if they mess that up, you know, it's cool to build really cool things, but if you don't get to see how it interacts kind of fully, then you got some problems. I mean, I think City Skylines has a nice setup for this. You know, the simulation I think is very solid, though, you know, some mods do fix that, which is great. I don't know if they plan to have any mods for Planet Coaster in terms of management. I know we're going to be able to share our creations somehow, so people can copy and paste our buildings, but there's also a problem with that as well. So our buildings right now, some of them are multiple buildings put together. Some of them are, you know, as you can see just from the section we did a bit ago, trying to do that area hugging the sidewalk. That's multiple buildings. How do I share that? And so unless they have some type of weld tool or a tool to basically tell the game, hey, this is now one building, I don't know if it's possible. We'll have to wait and see, though. Adding a chimney, I really like the way that facade kind of turned out on the roof line there. You know, we have two little windows and then a really nice bulky kind of frame surrounding the roof line, which looks pretty cool. Up here, we're just going to leave this stone, and just for a nice color break. And we also use some stone brick from the castle as well, just again to try and break up the coloring, as everything's just starting to look a little bit too much the same for me. This is actually going to be a large window, and in my mind, now this is actually in between the two floors, so in my mind this is actually where maybe the staircase is inside the structure, and so it might look a little weird for you guys, but I know in some old buildings, it's probably more of a Victorian thing than a Roman thing, but I wanted one anyways. Staircases that have a bend in it and have a landing, they usually have a window, and so that's what I was thinking there. I don't know how well it works with a Roman theme, but hey, you know, try your best. That's all you can do. Here, you know, throwing in some more whitewashed areas to kind of cap off the building segment there. And then we're pretty much wrapping up the speed build section for this episode, and then we're going to go through, of course, show you guys some nice shots, day and night. You know, there'll be some lighting for the night shot, hopefully, and so you guys can see how that turned out. And then, of course, we'll wrap up the video with some nice, you know, talking about some key elements in real time, so you guys can actually get a good feel for how everything looks. And then we'll probably call the episode there. I really like, there's some new signs that I'll show you guys, I think, in the pan. You guys can't really see them here, but they have some new smaller signs for the storefronts. And, you know, that gives, I think, a little touch of character without ruining the facades with these giant signs, in my opinion, that might be there, might not be there. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and cut to current me, and I'll go ahead and show you guys kind of the finished whole area. Alright, so with that, it looks like we are one step closer to finishing up this small area of the park. We have the nice villa completed. I hope you guys like the night shot and the other slow pans with it. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you guys some closer views on some certain areas. I really like these upper planters. They're a little messy, but you know, I'm fine with it. It doesn't have to make 100% sense, but I just wanted some touch of green hanging over the pathway here. I think that's going to be something really good to have. I'm going to go ahead and change camera types just by pressing T so I can not have the camera freak out again. You know, the arch still looks good. Nothing new there. But just the overall feel, I think, on how this kind of hugs the pathways and things like that looks really nice. I really like how these stairs also turned out, having this really wide staircase with a bunch of railings on it. I think looks pretty freaking cool. I don't know how much the people really are going to use such a wide staircase, but you know, I'm fine with it. It makes sense for once we get the temple up here and then the first coaster. I feel like people will be using this. I don't know which staircase they'll use, but I'm sure they'll be using at least two of them, I hope. That way we have some warrant for that use. Chief Beef over here, they added these nice little small signs, which I really like. It kind of brings some character and some sense of commercialization to the park. Also, Cosmic Cow has this as well. And of course, you want the drinking milk or the drinking milk. Maybe, if you don't want either of those, you can have the drinking milk or the other drinking milk. You know, this is a 2-star restaurant, apparently. I don't know. And I think that's going to do us for this episode, at least this build. We are going to move on to some new sections here in a second. I think next episode we're going to work on this corner. This is going to be a Roman bathhouse. This corner here, this is going to be a restaurant with plenty of outside seating and stuff, kind of hugging the pathway here, and then the building kind of back from the road. Back here, I think is going to be our first flat ride. I'm not 100% sure on how I want to do that. There's not much room, but we'll see what we can do. I might be able to put some fake small facades behind it. And, you know, I didn't want the flat ride to be out in this area, just so, you know, you get a nice picturesque view, maybe from the flat ride looking around the rest of the area itself. Of course, the temple, that's going to be our first, probably, coaster station. And then the Library of Alexandria, which is going to be a relatively large structure. I don't know if that's going to be multi-parts or not. Kind of depends on how long it takes me to make. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you all enjoyed the episode, feel free to subscribe for more creative goodness such as this. Go ahead and hit that like button. Leave a comment down below on what you guys think so far. Anything that you might want to change, update, let me know that as well. So until then, I'll see you guys in some more Planet Coaster.